Okay, last week I showed you an example, or actually 2 weeks before, I showed you an example of the Starbucks essay, right? Um, so that was my example. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to format your writing project. So in the first draft, you just had sentence by sentence by sentence. Okay, and technically that's not a proper format for an essay. So we're going to look at how to format, how to structure your essay. Okay, how to make it look pretty. That's what we're going to do now. Now you can see that we will need a title. So the first thing on our checklist that we need is a title. Okay, we need to name our essay. A title should not have too many words. Okay, capitalize every word except for small minor words such as of, in, etc. So like prepositions and articles, you don't need to capitalize those, just like proper nouns and nouns. Okay. All right, and we can see here, if you look at the red arrow, you can see a good example here where you see that Starbucks, we can see the S is a capital S, the C is a capital C, and it has been underlined and centered. It's in the middle. So that is a proper title. Okay? Okay, here we go. Let's look at the next thing. I would like to see your student name and number and class date and time. So for example, Song Min Hyung, student ID number, class date, time, Tuesday 11. So if you could format it like that, I'll know if you watched the video. So it would be a good way to make your paper pretty and to show me that you've actually watched the video lecture. So please do format like this, okay? Okay, another important feature of formatting is indenting. Okay, I wonder if you know what indenting means. What does it mean to indent? Okay, if you check out the arrows here, you can see that all the arrows are pointing to a small space here. Okay, that is an indent. And well, you should be typing this essay. If you're typing it, all you have to do is press the tab button on your computer and it will automatically indent your line for you. So just press the tab button on the first paragraph, okay? So it should be this line, this line, this line, this line, this line. So if you have 5 paragraphs, you need to have 5 indents. So an indent is the first line here. Okay, do you see how there's a space? You do? Okay, yes? Alright, if you see the space, that means that's an indent here. Okay, this is an indent. Indent all paragraphs. Okay? Okay, and if you need any further information or help about the do's and don'ts of what you should and shouldn't do in your writing, check out the video lesson Common Writing Mistakes. And remember that that was uploaded onto YouTube, so you can probably find the YouTube link. If you can't, I will send it to you, okay? So common writing mistakes. So things like, what are common writing mistakes? Not putting a period at the end of a sentence. Not having capital letters on your first, word in a sentence. Things such as that would be a common mistake. But, check out the video and you can see a few more examples of those. So try not to make those particular mistakes in your writing, okay? Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is making sure that you are using research material in your essay and you are learning some of the language which we learned. And remember that that was included about paraphrasing. So if you remember the unit about paraphrasing, where you take somebody else's words but you change them a little bit. So it's not plagiarism, it's just a citation. And some of the language which we can use to paraphrase, so if we're taking someone else's ideas and making them into our paper, we have to cite the source where we got our information. If you do not, that is called plagiarism. Okay, it's really bad. Don't do it. It's stealing. So don't steal other people's ideas. Okay? Um, Now, what we can do is we can say, like, according to, for example, the writer article says, Mo says. Okay, let's take a look at some examples. Okay, here we have, do you agree that Starbucks is the best coffee? Starbucks Corporation is the biggest multinational chain of coffee houses in the world. And according to Wikipedia, in 2019, they recorded a revenue of over $25 million. I disagree that Starbucks should be considered the best coffee. It's too expensive. Okay, and so on. So what was the example? We had Wikipedia as the citation. Now normally, like, Wikipedia's, but you know, with the COVID-19 situation, I will accept some online references, okay, because I know it's like pretty much impossible to go to a library right now. So in this situation, you can use sites like Wikipedia for just our situation, but later, make sure you go to the library and check out a book, okay? So, yes, this is an example according to. Now, when I see a different example here, for example, when I buy an ice Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,600 won. According to the Market Insider's website, Starbucks coffee is on average 38% higher than its competitors. Okay, so we got the information from this website, okay? So we're going to cite our sources. That's where we got the information from. Make sure you are very clear about where you got your information from, okay? Okay, and let's look at the last example. So finally, Starbucks coffee tastes too strong. According to my friends, family, and I, Starbucks coffee has a very bitter taste compared to other coffee shops. The magazine, Consumer Reports, did a blind taste test, and most people chose other coffee as having a better taste than Starbucks. Okay, so we found another example of an article with some evidence, okay, some facts that supports our opinion. But we're going to use this language according to, for example, or the writer article says Momomo. Okay? Okay, one basic thing that a lot of students and teachers, all of us, we forget to do is run a spell check. So just running a simple spell check to make sure you have no spelling or grammar mistakes. So make sure that you check your work and don't have any spelling mistakes. I'm not as picky on grammar because I realize that you are non-native speakers. So, but spelling, I feel like because we have the spell checker, it should be perfect, okay? So please do not have any spelling mistakes in your writing. Okay, and a very important part of our essay is we should have a bibliography of references at the end of our essay. So you can see here I have listed several websites. I have Market Insider, Wikipedia, Business Insider Magazine, Consumer Reports, and consumerreports.org. And now I know that we studied about how to, how to do the APA, but, why don't we just keep it simple for now? What I'd like to do is just have a list of the URL of the links. That will be enough for this assignment for this time, okay? And the next section, please make sure that you send your file to me correctly. So I prefer Word file. If you have a Hangul file, it takes me a long time to check it because right now I'm working from home. So if you send me the Hangul file, I don't have Hangul on my computer right now. So I'm having a really hard time opening and grading those files. Can't talk properly today. I'm having trouble grading those files. And it'd be great if you send it to me in a Microsoft Word file, please. Okay, and also make sure that you have labeled your file correctly with your name, day, time of class. I have so many students right now, to be honest with you. I have about like 160 almost. So if you could do that, that would help me immensely. I would love it if you send me everything: name, Word doc, student ID, time and day. Okay? Alright, and just to review, I'll show you another checklist in a little bit, but for this checklist, I want to say good luck. Your essay drafts were very good. You do not need to spend huge amounts of time editing. Just follow my corrections and comments. And once I submit you the comments and feedback, you're free to start writing, and the deadline will be Sunday, June 14th, and it's going to be the same topic that we've been doing, okay? So if you had a topic about the environment, you keep writing about the environment, okay? All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. And I'm going to show you another checklist in just a second. Okay, now this is what I will be using to grade your essays. So I just want to show you, kind of go over some of that. Okay, so what we'll be looking at is we want to have a title. So this is kind of review. We want to have a title 2 to 5 words long. Starbucks coffee, that's a title. And then we must have a hook. A hook, you know, it can be a variety of things. For this assignment, it must be a question. Okay. Now, a thesis must answer your hook. So if I say, do you like Starbucks coffee? Okay, I would answer, I do not, because it is too bitter. Okay, so that would be my hook and thesis statement. Preview. Use this sentence. There are 3 good reasons to support this view. Okay, reasons 1, 2, 3. For the introduction paragraph, keep it short and don't add detail. The detail will come later in your body paragraph. Okay, in the body paragraphs, you will add your detail, but you do not want the detail to be in the introduction or conclusion. And if you do this correctly, I will give you a happy face here. Okay? Alright, moving on. Let's look at the body paragraphs. Okay, body 1. For the body 1, for the topic sentence, first of all, it's very important that you indent. Do you remember what indent means? Indent means to put a small space in the first sentence of the paragraph. And following that indent, you're going to use the transition words like first. Now let me go back and read to you the Starbucks essay. So first, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Can you see here? First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Okay? All right, the next part for support 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, try to use two or more transitions. Remember, if you remember the writing assignment, there were some transitions, for example, however, it's a fact, etc. Don't make your sentences too basic, okay? Try to have more details in your sentences. Okay, closing, and therefore kind of a summary of your reason, a restatement of your reason. Okay, let's look at body 2. Okay, we're going to once again indent. Remember that indent means a small space at the beginning. And we're going to use a transition word. Now, you could choose second or next, plus your second reason. So once again, to review the Starbucks, we had next, there are many other coffee shops to choose from. Okay? All right. Okay, and again, use two or more transitions. For example, however, it's a fact, for example, etc., etc. Again, don't make your sentences too basic. Try to add good details. Okay, and the closing, we're going to have therefore and our reason to once again. Okay, and now let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, body 3. Body 3. For body 3, we're going to indent, and we're also going to use third or finally. So you can choose your language, but it should be kind of standard. So here we have finally, Starbucks coffee taste is too strong. Okay, so that's going to be our indent. Finally, reason 3. Use two or more transitions. Again, however, it's a fact, etc. Don't make your sentences too basic, please. Okay, and closing. Therefore, plus your third reason once again. Okay, and the conclusion. In the conclusion, you're going to restate your thesis. Restate your thesis. So if you restate your thesis, you need to have some language such as in conclusion plus your thesis statement, but it should be different words. It should be basically like you're paraphrasing yourself. Here he says, in conclusion, I believe Starbucks coffee is not the best coffee. Starbucks is too expensive, and there are many other coffee shops, and its taste is too strong. So, therefore, you can see that he has some language here, a signal word. In conclusion, he has his thesis, and he has his same 3 reasons. Do not add any new reasons. Do not change any reasons. Okay, so the conclusion is not the place to add new information. It would not be logical because this is the end and a summary of your writing. So you don't want to add new reasons or change reasons. And closing. Closing, we're going to have therefore plus a closing comment. Let's see what he wrote for his closing. Does he have a closing statement? Okay. Yeah, so a closing statement could be something like, let's support our local coffeeteers. Is that a word? It's coffeeteers? I'm not sure. But let's support our local businesses and not go to Starbucks. So something like that. Okay, so here's some very important information. You must have 3 of your supporting sentences must be a reference. Must. you must include a bibliography of references at the end of the essay. Okay? And you must review the 10 common writing mistakes. Okay? To not make those mistakes. Alright, why don't we do a little bit of review about the transitions? Okay, transitions are very important. So transitions are kind of signal words that let us know what our essay is going to talk about next. So it's kind of words that help organize the information so someone can quickly read your essay and get your point easily and quickly. Okay, so these are words that help us organize our essay. Now, when you were doing topic sentences for each of the body paragraphs, we want to use these words. For body 1, we want to use first. For body 2, we should use second or next. For body 3, we should use third or finally. And for the closing sentence in our paragraph, we should use something like therefore. Okay? So these are our transition words. Now, when we come to our supporting body sentences, we can use for example, it's a fact that, however, in my opinion, according to, so and so reported that, in my experience. Okay, and that's when you're going to provide evidence for your opinion. Closing sentence, therefore. Conclusion, in conclusion. Very important, don't start a sentence with so, and, but, or because. Instead, you should use therefore, also, however. Okay, so this is a no-no. These are conjunctions. We call these conjunctions. They are there to make one whole sentence, not to make their own sentence. But these are called transitions, and we can use them at the beginning of a sentence. It's totally fine. Okay, so you might be wondering what I meant by quality of details. Okay, quality of details. So how well are your supports supporting your reasons? Okay, how effective are they? Okay, let's look at some poor details. Okay, a student who would get a low grade, they might say, first, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Okay, the support one, iced Americano is very expensive. Okay, not everybody goes to, this might shock some people, but not everybody goes to Starbucks. So and not everybody drinks Americano. Not everybody drinks coffee. So don't assume that your reader knows the cost of iced Americano. Maybe they have no idea. Okay, so you must tell them the actual cost. Okay, but just saying iced Americano is very expensive, I have no idea what you mean. I don't know why you think it's expensive. I have no idea. And support too. If I make my own coffee, it is cheap. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. This is not good supporting details. So you would get a C grade. Okay, medium. So if you wanted to get a B grade, here's how you would get a B grade. If you're aiming high, here's what you could do. First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Okay, for example, when I buy an iced Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,601. However, if I make my own coffee, it costs about 501. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. Now, let's look at a very nice high grade A essay. Okay, here's my topic. First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Support 1A. For example, when I buy an iced Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,601. Personally, I feel this is too much money for a university student to pay. On the other hand, if I make my own coffee, it only costs about 501. The money I save by making my own coffee can be used for other expenses like food. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. Okay, let's have a look at references. So, one of the requirements, one of the things that we must do for this assignment is we must have 1, 2, 3 references. Okay, you can see from the sad face, here are some references that are my idea. Now, we don't want to have my idea. We want to have references from other sources outside of my head. Okay, so all of these sentences are my idea. Okay, let's read this topic. First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Support 1A. For example, when I buy an iced Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,601. Personally, I feel this is too much money for a university student to pay. On the other hand, if I make my own coffee, it only costs about 201. The money I save by making my own coffee can be used for other expenses like food. Okay, for the closing. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. Okay, guys, now let's look at references. Yes, happy face. Can you find the two sentences that are references? I'll give you a few seconds. Did you find them? Okay, well, let's check it together. Okay, our topic again. First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. Support 1A. For example, when I buy an iced Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,601. According to Market Insider's website, Starbucks coffee is on average 38% higher than its competitors. However, if I make my own coffee, it only costs about 201. Business Insider magazine reported that the average cost of making your own coffee is only about 201. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. Alright guys, so did you find the references? Okay. Oh, there's the hint right there. Support 1B. This is a reference from Market Insider's website. Support 2B. This is also a reference. Business Insider magazine reported that the average cost of making your own coffee is about 201. So therefore, that means that we had two references. One was called Market Insiders, and the other one was called Business Insider magazine. Okay, so those are my references from outside sources. Okay, guys, for the last page of your essay, we need to have a bibliography. What is a bibliography? A bibliography is a place where we can show where we got our facts and information from. Okay, as you remember, I have talked about a few of these publications in my essay. So I talked about Market Insider, Business Insider, Consumer Reports, and ConsumerReports.org. Okay, now typically, in a more formal situation, all of our journals would not be digital, but with the COVID-19 crisis, it's not really possible to go to the library right now. So for this time, please just put the URL of the website, okay, just for this assignment. At this time, I would like to do a bit of review about the common writing mistakes. Okay, let's look at number 1. We have an example. I went to the playground a lot when I was a child. I also went to the China ones when I was 7 years old. Okay, why do we not have the for China? I wonder if anybody knows why. Okay, for countries, we do not put the, unless it's, unless there's certain situations, like for example, the Philippines, because that is a group of islands, so that's why we call it the Philippines. Okay. Usually, if it's a country that has different parts, like the Philippines, then we would say that. But we don't say that for countries like China because it's like one big country. Okay. Number 2, I remember the first time I flew on an airplane. I feel excited and nervous, but when the plane take off and landed, I was fascinated. Okay. So we need to make past tense for this. We need to make past tense. Okay, so we're going to change feel to felt and take to took off. Okay, so the tense and verb should agree. I had many friends when I was in middle and high school. We used to go to many PC room and singing room. Okay, would it be rooms or room? What do you think? Well, this person has said many. So if you have many, that means it's a plural. Plural means we need to have an S. Plural means more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so on. So if I have 2 friends, I want to have an S. If I have 1 friend, no S. Okay, let's look at number 4. I asked my partner about her major. She's major is computer science, and me is electrical engineering. Okay, so we need our proper pronouns. So she's is not the proper possessive pronoun. We need to have her major. And the proper possessive pronoun for me is mine. Okay. Okay, let's look at number 5. On the weekend, I usually rest at home. Sometimes I go shopping, eat delicious food, meet my friends, or just drink coffee in a cafe. What do you think is wrong with these mistakes? So the problem with these mistakes is they were capitalized unnecessarily. So if you have a comma, you do not need to capitalize the next word. We only need to capitalize after a period or a question mark or an exclamation mark. Okay. Number 6, I'm very fascinating when I watch sci-fi movies, SF movies in Konglishi, although sometimes they're a little boring. I'm also interested in fantasy films. Okay, so when we're describing our feelings, we want to put an ed for our feelings. I'm fascinated. I'm bored. Okay, sci-fi movies are boring. Fantasy movies are fascinating. So we use that to talk about things or situations. Okay, not usually people. Well, I guess you could say for a person, but not my feeling. So I can't say I feel fascinating. It's incorrect. Or I feel boring. That is incorrect. We must say I am fascinated or I am bored. Okay, let's look at number 7. Now I hear a lot of my students making this mistake. Almost. Almost in Korean is like koi. Is that right? Koi? Almost. Like 90%. Okay. Almost all of my friends were there at the birthday party. So it's kind of Konglish. I think it's confusing because maybe they're confused by all and most, but it doesn't mean that. It just means like koi. Like what would I say? Most all of my friends. Okay? So all of my friends were at the birthday party. Like 99%. Okay? But yeah, almost all of my friends. Yeah, almost. How do Koreans say it? They usually say almost my friends. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Okay, and number 8, format. Now, right until the end of the line, this is called block style. And 2 spaces. Hit the spacebar 2 times after a full stop or period. 1 space after a comma. Add 1 space if using parentheses, brackets. No spaces needed if using a question mark. Okay, and we do have some examples of that. Again, see the sentence. We have a question mark here. It keeps going. The next sentence just keeps going and going and going to the very edge of the paper. Okay, so you don't have to write a sentence on each line, a new sentence on each line. Don't do that. Okay. Alright, so that's called block style. Okay, and 9. Now 9, this is about kind of generalizations. So instead of saying Koreans like kimchi, you could say Koreans tend to like kimchi. You know, my husband is actually Korean, and he does not like kimchi. He will not eat it. Ever, 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 ever. He hates kimchi, and he's 100% Korean. And I like kimchi. So we cannot say that all Koreans like kimchi because it is factually incorrect. Instead, we can say Koreans tend to like kimchi. That means mostly. My brother tends to like action films. Coffee tends to be bitter. Okay? Americans tend to like hamburgers. Not all Americans like hamburgers. I do not like hamburgers. Okay? I hate hamburgers. Alright, so we cannot assume that just because one person is from a certain country that they like all things related to that country, etc. So there are some people who are not exactly the same. Just because somebody's Korean or just because somebody's American does not mean that they all like the same things as other Americans or other Koreans. Okay, so use words like tend. Okay, sounds a little bit better. And don't start, please, 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 do not start sentences with and, but, because that drives me crazy. Please don't do that. Okay, you can use other words. Instead of and, you could use also. You could use furthermore. You could use in addition. Instead of but, you could use however. And, well, because that's a little bit complicated. But if you do not know how to start a sentence with because, just avoid using because at the beginning of a sentence. We can write something like, I closed the door because it was cold. Now this is the proper way to use because. It's a conjunction. A conjunction means that it comes between two clauses. Okay? In English, it doesn't make sense to start a sentence with because. If you did start a sentence with because, you still need two clauses. So you have to say because it was cold, comma. Very important. You need a comma. I closed the door. Now that makes sense. But you can't just say because it was cold. That is not a sentence in English. That is bad. Don't do that. Bad, bad, bad. Don't do it. Okay? In Korean it makes sense, but in English it's very bad. So do not do that. Okay, and once again, let's review the sample essay. Okay, Starbucks coffee. This is the title. Notice that it has two words. Okay? Each word is a capital letter. Do you agree that Starbucks is the best coffee? I disagree that Starbucks should be considered the best coffee. There are 3 good reasons to support this view. It's too expensive, there are many other choices, and its taste is too strong. First, Starbucks coffee is too expensive. For example, when I buy an iced Americano from Starbucks, it costs 4,600 won. According to Market Insider's website, Starbucks coffee is on average 38% higher than its competitors. However, if I make my own coffee, it only costs about 200 won. Business Insider magazine reported that the average cost of making your own coffee is only about 200 won. Therefore, I believe Starbucks coffee is overpriced. Next, there are many other coffee shops to choose from. It's a fact that in Korea there are many large name brand coffee shops and smaller independent coffee shops. In my experiences, I have never been to a country with so many coffee shops. Standing Coffee in Gyeonggi-dong, Itaewon, in my opinion, has the best coffee. When I lived in that area, everyday people were lined up to buy coffee there, which shows it was the best coffee. Therefore, Starbucks is not the best coffee because there are better options. Okay? And finally, Starbucks coffee taste is too strong. According to my friends, family, and I, Starbucks coffee has a very bitter taste compared to other coffee shops. The magazine, Consumer Reports, did a blind taste test, and most people chose other coffee as having a better taste than Starbucks. In my opinion, Starbucks over roasts their coffee beans, and this creates an unpleasant flavor. On consumerreports.org, one Starbucks barista states that Starbucks does roast their coffee beans to be darker, which is what creates the bitter flavor. Therefore, I dislike the flavor of Starbucks coffee. In conclusion, I believe Starbucks coffee is not the best coffee. Starbucks coffee is too expensive, and there are many other coffee shops, and its taste is too strong. Therefore, when I want to enjoy a delicious coffee, I choose a different coffee shop than Starbucks. Okay, and here are my bibliography, and notice, once again, just to review, these are just going to be links. Okay, so we have Markets Insider, Business Insider, Consumer Reports, and consumerreports.org. So, just to review, I just want your essay to kind of resemble this one. So I want you to have the title here centered. And I want you to indent each line. So when you indent, you push the tab button. So you can see me push the tab button, and then that you'll have an indent like that. Okay, so that is how you write a 5-paragraph essay. And yes, so it should look like block style. It should be all indented. And on the last page, you should have a bibliography of references. And for our purposes, I think it's okay just to have the URL this time. So that's all I want to say. And crazy enough, this is our last lecture. So I just want to say thank you for putting up with me. It has been a very interesting experience for me to teach online. I have never taught online before. I've taken online classes before, but this is the first time that I've ever taught an online class. So thank you for being patient with me. I know that we had a lot of technical problems in the beginning, but I felt like at the end we worked through it really well. Yeah, all the technology, luckily at the end, everything worked out well. So just a final thought that we're going to be having our final exam on campus, and at that time I will, finally get a chance to see you in the classroom. It's going to be funny because it'll be our last day of class, and we'll be taking a test, so it'll be a little bit awkward. So please bear with me in that situation. If you have any questions about this material or anything else, please feel free to email me or message me on Spark Campus, and I will see you very soon. So we're going to see each other next week. Wow, crazy. So I look forward to seeing you in real life in the classroom. And I hope you all stay safe and healthy, and please take care of your health, and don't catch any colds, don't catch any viruses, please. And that's all for today, and I'm going to sign off, and it has been a pleasure teaching you this semester, and I hope we are not online next semester, because it has been quite hard for you and me both. So I will see you soon. Take care, and bye bye.